In this report, we asked the question, can I retire on $1,000 per month? This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, the YouTube channel for Vagabond Buddha. I left the United States in 2007, and I've lived in or visited 65 countries in my life. I know a little bit about the cost of living in different parts of the world. I'll show you pictures and places I have traveled to over the last 13 years as I discuss this topic. At the end, I'll talk about specific places. So today I would like to discuss my answer to the question, can I retire on $1,000 a month? According to the U.S. News, the average Social Security benefit was $1,503 in January 2020. But even if you get the average Social Security check, will that be enough to retire? Our last report we discussed whether it's better to retire in Southeast Asia or Latin America. Our next reports will compare the cost of living in various countries around the world. So subscribe so you don't miss out. Now we will discuss, can I retire on $1,000 per month? To answer this question, we need to understand some of the greatest risks you will face trying to live on $1,000 per month overseas, so you can think about whether or not you can overcome these risks. Everyone is different. Disclaimer, the average person will not be able to overcome all of the following risks required to successfully live overseas on $1,000 a month, but maybe you will be able to. The risk factors are many, but today I will discuss only age, health, safety net, mobility, food, rents, local transportation, language, family, and expat community. I will discuss food and rent last, so make sure to listen to the end. After discussing the risk factors, I'll suggest a few places that are on the cheap side for living cost. But there's no need to take notes. I'll provide you with a link to my written notes towards the end of this video. Okay, age. As we age, we lose strength, mobility, and mental acuity. There comes a time in life when we start to depend more heavily on family and friends. You need to think about your present age and how many years you have before you become dependent on others. You'll need to have or to develop a circle of influence to help you. You may need people who come with you from your family or people you meet in your new country, a spouse possibly, that can help you with your daily needs as you age. You need to have or establish those trust relationships while you can still take care of yourself. Or you need to have the resources to return to your home country if relationships sour while you are dependent. Some people move to foreign countries because a live-in nurse is thousands of dollars cheaper than an assisted care facility in the USA. But if you're trying to have a live-in nurse and pay for yourself all on $1,000 a month, the care would be very limited if available at all. But I'm not saying impossible. What about health? The cheapest places to live in the world are not usually in larger cities. Yet the best medical services are in the larger cities in the world generally. So if you are worried about emergency medical services or frequent visits to the doctor, you're going to need to be closer to the larger cities. In that case, you'll not be able to rent a very nice place to live in the central part of the city. You'll need to be further from town, staying in an apartment that is less modern because it is designed for local people. The food in restaurants is often higher in larger cities around the world. So you'll need to cook at home more if you decide to live near a larger city for health reasons. Finally, health costs and/or health insurance is higher in larger cities, at least the healthcare is. With higher rents, healthcare, and restaurants, you'll have less money for fun, like excursions and local travel. Whereas if you are relatively healthy, you could live further from the city and have more fun in rural areas because it's cheaper. Finally, you need to get a health insurance quote for your target country. Just Google expat health insurance country name. After you know the monthly premiums, subtract that from the amount of your Social Security check. For example, if your health insurance premium is $175 per month, subtract that from your check to know how much you have left to spend on living expenses. Okay, a safety net. No matter how well you plan, life may surprise you. Things go bad for all of us from time to time. You need to have some money saved for a rainy day. Some people feel safe with just a few credit cards in their wallet. Personally, that has never made me feel safe. I feel better having savings and a few credit cards. I wouldn't feel safe living overseas otherwise. I would try to sock some money away first. Maybe you have family or friends that could help you in a jam, but I never borrow from family and friends, so I go the safety net route. Okay, mobility. Although there are articles online about places that are more mobile than others, I often see steep curbs on sidewalks and large potholes in the middle of sidewalks in cheap retirement places around the world. So if you are in a wheelchair or you need a walker, you'll need assistance to move about many parts of the world. If you're finding any value in this video, could you please like, comment, share, or subscribe? That would move us up in the search rankings and grow our channel. Thanks so much. Okay, language risk. It's not unusual for locals to live on less than half of what expats live on in most retired cheap countries. Like in the Philippines, the average family earns 313,000 pesos per year, which is $6,260 per year. And they live on 239,000 pesos or 4,780 US per year. At the family size in the Philippines of 4.4 people on average. So the average family of 4 lives on $398 per month. Yet expats reading this will say it's completely impossible for a single person to live on $1,000 per month. What does the Philippines average family local cost of living have to do with language? You see, if you want to learn how to live cheap like the locals, you need to learn to talk to the locals. The locals will teach you how to stay under budget. Not many of the expats will know because their budget is much higher. The locals can show you great deals on rents, food, and what cheap local booze costs. Many in the Philippines know how to speak English. So you'll be able to quickly bring your budget down here by speaking to locals. But in countries where you don't speak the local language and they don't speak yours, you'll need to learn how to use Google Translate. So it may take longer to get down to your budget if you can't casually speak to the locals. Okay, family. Are you traveling with family or friends? If 2 or more of you are traveling together that have income each, you can split the rents between you. This will help keep your individual costs lower. Plus, if something goes wrong for one of you, you'll have the physical help and presence of someone you trust with you. Maybe you're looking to establish a family in your new country, a new family. In that case, your local family members will know how to save money. They have been doing it their whole lives, presumably. As discussed above, the average family is likely to know how to support you and themselves for less than a single expat can live on. As usual, take some time to establish trust with your local family. No matter where in the world you relocate, don't just hand them the keys to the kingdom and pray they're honest. That's generally going to be true. But that's true even in your home country. Don't create any permanent relationships. Don't put property in their names or give away your ATM PIN until you establish trust. Just pull out cash as needed and give them cash as needed. Watch how they spend and save for a long time before you even think about putting yourself in a vulnerable position with people you're just getting to know. Love is blind, but that doesn't mean you have to be. Okay, expat community. Many people live overseas, look for an expat area or look for an area where many expats from their home country are living. For many, this built-in community provides comfort for new expats. However, as you approach the lower end of the budget range for that part of the world, the expats may create some pressure for you to be keeping up with the Joneses. This could be the neighborhood you decide to live in, the transportation you decide to use, and the restaurants you decide to eat. Many expats feel uncomfortable eating in local restaurants, riding on public transportation, or having locals living around them. Those are often the locals will tell you it is impossible to live on 1,000 per month, even in countries where whole families live on less than half of that of what a single expat lives on. However, you don't completely ignore expats either. If they have been living there a long time and know your budget, they may have many ideas to help you stay on budget. Okay, what about food? Food and alcohol is where expats' budgets get hammered when they're trying to live overseas. Make sure to read my post, Why Expats Can't Live Cheap Overseas, link provided. If they crave the comfort foods from home and start eating in tourist restaurants, their meal budget can easily go way over budget. The way to beat this pattern is to go to the largest local open-air market and buy your fresh fruits and vegetables and grains there. Stay away from the expat grocery stores. While at the large local open-air markets, eat the local foods in the family restaurants and food carts around the market. It's not unusual to find $1 to $2 US priced meals in family restaurants in local markets. Ask the names of your favorite dishes. Ask how they're cooked and what the ingredients are. Learn how to cook them at home. You'll find YouTube videos teaching you how to cook local meals at home. If you learn the foods of the culture, you can more easily stay on budget, whether you eat them at home or in local restaurants. Whereas if you eat in the expat restaurants, in most countries, you'll be paying $6 to $12 per meal. That's a 6x factor. Most new expats, what about rent? Most new expats rent expat apartments and homes for $400 to $800 per month around the world. Larger cities can even be more. A single person with a $1,000 monthly Social Security check will not make it paying that much in rent. You need to live more like a local to stay within budget. That means switching to a cheaper neighborhood or a smaller unit in the same city. Of course, you could also get the price down by sharing rents, by getting an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment and sharing the rents, or 3-bedroom and sharing the rents. The circumstances will vary per country and per city. The first mistake you will make is trying to find a good rent deal searching in English language online. Locals that advertise in English are looking for big fish. You need to be a little fish. Ask a local where they go to find a new apartment. Is there a magazine or web page? If you decide to search online, use Google Translate to change your search strings into the local language. If you Google with the local language search strings, you'll get landlords looking for big fish. Once you find an area you like where locals are living, walk those areas and look for rental signs in local language. Okay. In a moment, I'll give you example cheap places to live, but first, pause the video now to read this important liability disclaimer that limits your rights. You can also find this disclaimer in the description below this YouTube video. Okay, welcome back from the pause. You've read the liability disclaimer. Here are my suggested places to try to live on 1,000 per month while considering my risk factors above. In Southeast Asia, I suggest looking into Vietnam and the Philippines if you want to try to live on 1,000 US per month as a single person. Some people are able to do it in Thailand also. In Latin America, I suggest Peru, Ecuador, and Mexico. But you'll need to follow my above suggestions, whether for Southeast Asia or Latin America, if you are to have any chance of living on 1,000 per month as a single expat. We have over 50 plus retired cheap reports all over the world at Vagabond Buddha. However, you would likely need to move to more rural areas outside those suggested in the retired cheap report. So you just take the report, learn everything there, and then look a little further outside the central areas when you're on the ground there trying to find cheap rents. I recommend looking for rents at about $250 per month outside the central areas, in addition to following the ideas in this report suggested. Each of our reports typically has example rent costs which were higher than my now suggested $250 per month to meet your 1,000 per month goal. So you'll have to make the final determination during your exploratory visit, which I mentioned next. Okay, the cost of living. Our cost of living estimates include only the cheapest food, rent, and local transportation. It does not include medical insurance or other expenses. Before moving anywhere, you must do a temporary site visit in order to accurately calculate your personal cost of living for all costs for your lifestyle needs. Plus, you have to do an exploratory visit to verify. Please make sure you have access to significant additional savings in case you face an emergency. Okay, as promised, click the more information in the description below this YouTube video to get my written notes for Can I Retire on $1,000 a month. While at that link, grab a free copy of my ebook, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 13 years. My goal is to make this channel better every day, but I need your help. Please leave your new topic ideas, your criticism, and other thoughts in the comments below this video. This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, the YouTube channel for Vagabond Buddha. The world is your home. What time will you be home for dinner?